Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Davidas. I'll be reviewing trending movies, TV series, and music videos you love with total scrutiny, uncovering important details you must have missed. In this video I'll be comprehensively reviewing Superman and Fantastic Four: First Steps. I'll compare the two movies, rate them and give you a possible fun crossover event where Superman literally faces off against the Fantastic Four. Superman Review. The movie starts with a fallen angel reference as Superman falls hard from the sky into the icy ground at Antarctica after getting his ass whipped by the hammer of Boroviya, who turns out to be Ultraman, who turns out to be a clone of Superman that was created by Lex Luthor. He gets some unorthodox treatment after his dog Krypto drags him to his hidden home, the Fortress of Solitude. He recovers enough and flies back stylishly for round 2, only to get another beatdown literally. It turns out, Lex is the one behind the invasion of Jaranpur by Boroviya because of his selfish interest as their weapons supplier, and his endgame, which is to take over the country and rule as king. Superman breaks 1,000 diplomatic laws by taking matters into his hands, defeating the Borovian army and threatening their president, resulting in the one-on-one battle with the hammer of Boroviya from earlier. Lex Luthor manipulates the United States government into believing that Superman is an alien spy sent to blend in and eventually tyrannically rule over Earth. He gains access into Superman's hidden home due to the clone's DNAs. His bit-size enforcer the Engineer and Ultraman wreak havoc, hurt and kidnap the dog, and retrieve a relatively straightforward but out-of-context message from Superman's parents asking him to forcefully colonize the Earth so as to continue Krypton's lineage. At the same time, Superman fights a big-ass kaiju that Lex's team unleashed as a distraction. The Justice Gang show up to lend a hand and they defeat the ugly-ass giant creature. The people turn on Superman after Lex airs the footage of his parents, making the United States government order his arrest. Superman confronts Lex about the dog, then turns himself in so he'll be locked up where the dog is and be sure it's fine. Lois Lane turns out to be a great journalist but a half-great, half-shitty girlfriend to Superman. She goes to the Justice Gang to help her rescue him from Lex's pocket dimension mid-multiverse prison where he's being weakened and hurt by the improvised kryptonite created by a fellow prisoner, Element Man, whose son has been kidnapped to keep him in line. They eventually work together and break out along with Krypto and the Weird Baby, aided by Mr. Terrific, the smart badass Justice Gang member that agreed to help Louise. With Superman indisposed, Boroviya invade Jaranpur again, but harder this time. The Justice Gang intervene and control the situation. Superman and Mr. Terrific meanwhile are attacked by Ultraman and the tiny but deadly Engineer, who almost kills Superman by forcing her nanobots into his lungs and engulf every part of his body. He's able to outsmart them against all odds, knocking the Engineer out, but the implosion from the pocket dimension prison causes a rift, a huge tear in the earth, causing New York to be ripped in half with the people barely able to evacuate the city. Superman has another one-on-one fight with Ultraman and wins this time, trapping him in the pocket dimension. Krypto the Superdog joins him in a dope fight sequence where they team up to make light work of the Raptors, Lex's enhanced private military goons. Mr. Terrific is able to stop the rift and Lex Luthor is finally exposed as a selfish terrorist and jailed. After all the ruckus, Superman tells Lois Lane, "I could fill you in on all the behind the scenes." Is it just me or does that sound like a word play for information divulgence, and also some doggy, if you know what I mean? Just kidding. Later, as he's getting treated by the repaired Superbots when his cousin, Supergirl, shows up, kinda high, asking for Krypto, it turns out she owns the dog that's just as irresponsible as she is, playing with her by slamming her so hard into the ground repeatedly, but the joy on her face in the process is priceless though. Fantastic Four: First Steps Review. We meet the team of astronauts from Earth 828, already 4 years into their superhero careers and loved by all. The eloquent Sue Storm, aka Invisible Woman, works with their version of the United Nations to ensure world peace, but only one representative was absent, the ruler of Latveria. She finds out that she's pregnant, tells her husband Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, and the rest of the team, Johnny, her brother aka Human Torch, and Ben aka The Thing, their friend and colleague, celebrate with them. Not long after that, the scary but sexy, attractive, powerful, badass Silver Surfer shows up, talking about heralding Galactus, the world-consuming gigantic planet-sized creature, having marked their world next for destruction. They decide to track her and meet with Galactus in his enormous mechanical fortress, trying to reason with him, but he's adamant, even going as far as saying the child in Sue's belly hungers, carries the power cosmic, and will inherit his cursed throne, becoming the next destroyer of worlds and freeing him from the unending compulsion. Mid-conversation and threats, Silver Surfer can be seen here instinctively and subconsciously moving slowly and standing between Galactus and the Fantastic Four as if to protect them from her harsh boss, proving she still has some conscience but has to do as she's told. He asks for their baby in return for sparing their world. They disagree. He does some weird shit to Sue that makes her go into premature labor. Johnny flames on and attacks Galactus, destroying some of his mechanical constructs. Silver Surfer flies after him, but the thing grabs her midair and slams her into a metal wall, Hulk style. Reed elastically swings himself and Sue out of harm's way, trying to make it back to their ship amidst the lava-like volcanic eruption splashing all over the place. Johnny's suit runs out of oxygen and crashes to the ground. Galactus tries to grab Sue and Richard with his big-ass hand, but they escape, only for Silver Surfer to body slam Ben, who's carrying the passed-out Johnny, like it was nothing. She telekinetically throws her board at Reed, who almost gets knocked out. Sue, who's still in labor, had to go Scarlet Wanda mode, telekinetically choking the Silver Surfer in the air and slamming her into the walls twice before flinging her into the molten lava. Some badass shit right there. They make it to their spaceship, trying to teleport themselves back to Earth, but the relentless Silver Surfer resurfaces and pursues them, catching up, phasing into their ship, scaring the shit out of everybody, and literally reaches for Sue's stomach trying to pull out the baby inside, but as her hand slightly starts to phase into Sue's stomach, the ship disappears, leaving her behind. I thought it was over, but nope, hell no. Somehow she finds them again, angrier this time, but they trick her and she gets sucked into the black hole. Sue gives birth to baby Franklin in the spaceship on their way to Earth, with the baby looking at his parents like, "Who the hell are you? Do I owe y'all money?" They arrive on Earth to meet a confused, inconsiderate crowd blaming them for not sacrificing their baby for the whole world. On the other hand though, the baby, one life, in exchange for the lives of billions, sound logical, especially from an emotional POV. Silver Surfer returned to Galactus to apologize for failing. He says he's gonna get the baby, reminding me of Rocket Raccoon trying to acquire the Winter Soldier's vibranium arm in Avengers Infinity War. Silver Surfer says he's just a baby, making the angry Galactus hurt her a little before putting her in her place. Back on Earth, people are revolting, rioting and protesting the Fantastic Four's decision to keep their baby, seemingly at the world's expense. Even Reed Richards considers giving up the baby for a second. He even makes a Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch reference by saying, "I don't dream, I don't wander," during an argument with Sue. The Invisible Woman inspires Mr. Fantastic to find a solution to their Galactus problem with her spectacular speech that calms the public and reignites their love and togetherness they used to have. All countries unite and work together to construct a bridge that'll teleport the Earth away from Galactus's reach. It consumes too much power, so the whole world had to shut down all electricity to conserve power for the bridge's use. It starts to work and we see a kind of protective shield surrounding the Earth like Tony Stark wanted in the Avengers, in this case to teleport the Earth, but the Silver Surfer shows up from nowhere and starts to destroy the components of the bridge, making the Earth sitting ducks for Galactus, who's already in close proximity. Johnny flies after her, talks some senses into her, and the guilt makes her flee without destroying the last bridge component. The team plan to use the baby as bait, so Galactus comes for him and they can use the last bridge component to teleport him to the end of the universe where he'll be stranded for millions of years. Galactus shows up to steal the baby, but the team put up a big fight. He proves to be too powerful, so Sue uses up her powers and life force to push him into the portal and she dies as a result. Galactus pops back out trying to come for round 2, but Johnny decides to sacrifice himself and lunges himself at Galactus, only for Silver Surfer to show up, knock him off and sacrifice herself instead, forcefully knocking Galactus back into the portal and vanishing with him. Reed tries CPR on his wife, but to no avail. As the three men mourn her death, the baby starts to cry and forces his dad to lay him down on his dead mom's chest. He does some cosmic baby magic and brings her back to life. 4 years later, Sue goes to get a book to read the child, who's grown up a bit, but in her seconds of absence, Dr. Doom shows up and steals her child. And that's the end. Comparison and ratings. Both movies are really great, awesome jobs from everyone involved in these projects. They're not just all action, they're emotionally charged, lots at stake, villains are compelling, well portrayed, and genuinely motivated by the greater good in their POV. and little bit of selfishness though. The heroes aren't overpowered or underpowered, but rather kind-hearted selfless godlike beings driven by goodness and determination to make things right, albeit not at the expense of others. I'll rate Superman 8 out of 10, and I'll rate Fantastic Four First Steps 8.5 out of 10. Fictional Superman vs. Fantastic Four. Now this is just me being me, a screenwriter with a wild imagination, thinking, how about a DCU/MCU crossover event where Superman tries to undo the damage done by a defeated villain, by flying round the Earth multiple times at the speed of light, only to succeed but end up being displaced, finding himself in a completely unfamiliar universe, the MCU. Then he's confronted by a very angry Fantastic Four whose baby just got kidnapped by Dr. Doom. Reed Richards asks him to go back to where he's come from, or else. But before he finishes the sentence, Johnny attacks Superman with a giant fireball that hurts him a little. The Thing follows suit with clobbering time. Superman recovers and knocks Johnny out, making Sue go Scarlet Wanda on him. I'll stop here for now and let you reach conclusions by yourselves in your minds on how it'll end. We've come to the end of today's video. Please like and subscribe to my channel, drop your comment, and check out my other videos, there's a lot more in the works. Thanks for watching.